Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
you are audible.
So
Screen is
thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. This is team number 290529. So we are going to talk about the proposal that we have, that is the waste to wealth hub. So we try to attempt to integrate sustainable waste management practices with placemaking principles. So it also creates vibrant and efficient ecosystems that maximizes resource recovery. So the objective we tried is to create an innovative urban node that would link diverse ecological resources, transit nodes, movement corridors, and generate a waste to wealth system that would offer citizens of the neighborhood an alternate reason to be proud of. Moving on to the area level strategy for the proposal, it aims to implement sustainable waste management practices that engages local communities and optimize infrastructure to preserve the lake's ecosystem and promote a circular economy in doing so. During the community interaction, the elders of the community spoke about their aspiration to utilize this area for a better purpose. So therefore, we tried taking cues from it, and the broader area level strategy was to first tie up the various assets that is surrounding the site, that is the lake and its fragmented wetlands, the Kasturi Nagar Park, the Vivekananda Park, and finally connecting it with transit nodes such as the upcoming metro station by pedestrian linkages, which enhances the everyday experience of the residents as well. So keeping in mind all of this, we try to resolve movement-based conflicts initially. So we try to redefine the ROW of the highways and the surrounding access roads by rationalizing the carriageway, providing adequate footpath, parking zones, and safe pedestrian crossing, which also we try to use by dissolving the junction to achieve safer pedestrian flow by providing a tabletop crossing. We also try to add new programs in a way to attempt an ecology and economy around the waste. So instead of removing the whole waste processing unit, we have tried to integrate it by providing a high-tech waste recycling unit from which inert waste will be used to produce public art, and it can be reused and sold at the zero waste shop. So the organic waste, on the other hand, from all over the site will be treated in organic compost farm to promote the idea of urban farming, from which the fresh produce can be used in farmers market, and organic cafe to promote recreational activity. So the underutilized wetland will be covered to a wetland park by creating constructed wetland, which will naturally clean the grey water coming from the Nala and the residential area. And soon it will create its own natural biodiversity zone. So this can also decrease the submersion of idle scenario on site by restricting access. And the order can also be reduced by having vegetation of native plants around this whole area. So moving on to the next strategy, we tried connecting the new programs via the green loop. The green loop will be introduced, which will act as a common pedestrian path to connect all the existing and proposed programs. Finally, the urban master plan. We have tried to weave all the programs that we've tried to, excuse me one second. We've tried to weave all the functions and programs to all three zones of the site. And this is a view of what we're trying to achieve. And this is one of the view which shows informal vending and more eyes and surveillance of the site, which is currently, which can be one of the ways to reduce crime or illegal activities that are going on in the site, that we try to find out through local conversations, informal conversations. And this is the view of the sculpture garden and the organic compost farm. And finally, this is the view of the park, where we've tried to show the pedestrian trail connecting to the under flypath zone. Finally, the impact assessment shows what we try to achieve on site. The whole aim of the project and how we try to see the project is to use waste as one of the main source that will that is not shied away from, but actually integrates the whole community. And we've also...
Your voice is breaking. I'm sorry, but your voice is breaking.
Oh, sorry. I'll repeat that. So the whole aim of the project that we had was to use the existing waste segregation zone and allowed more people to get engaged in that specific function and not shy away from it. And by doing so, we also tried to enhance the walkability and reduce the dead and inactive spaces on site, which also generates income and provides a lot of job opportunities for localites as well. Overall, we tried to attain more eyes on the place to increase the safety of the site and also the livability of the whole neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks. We have a question from Aniruddha already.
Yes.
Could you address that?
Yes. What was the question?
Have you interviewed the garbage collector of that area or any other sample for understanding the existing garbage management?
Hello. Yeah. No, that wasn't in our scope, but rather when we went to the site and already the organizing committee sort of gave us an introduction of what happens there in the existing BBMP garbage shed where waste is usually processed, and the adjoining 2 wards which are there, the entire waste comes from the 2 wards and then gets sorted. So we sort of worked around that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes,
Can I
please go ahead.
Yeah. The problem actually it looks nice. The proposal looking at the farming and composting done in the same area. What is the quantum of waste that is being received from 2 wards? What you told, like there's a 2 wards, the waste is coming. So what is the total quantum that is coming?
The amount of waste,
Yeah.
are you asking?
Yeah.
That wasn't in our scope.
Okay. But when
Yeah.
you make a provision for composting, because composting is when it starts decomposition, like when it starts, it gives produced smells and all. But how much quantity can be, because it's a daily waste that is coming there. So what is the area that has been allotted for that also has to be considered. That is one.
Yeah.
And the second point is like farming also, what you have suggested, like what kind of farming you have like who actually for this, it's for the neighborhood or it's someone from the government side, someone need to get them there. What actually your plan says?
Yeah. So for the farming or the organic compost farm, we have thought that not from the neighborhood directly, but rather there are a lot of squatter settlements around the site, which is sort of on the adjacent edge of the railway track, which is if we go towards the Beninghali Lake. So we were looking at those squatter settlements and we were thinking that what if we integrate them into this process, because else we cannot, the main idea was to integrate the urban core. And therefore, this organic compost farming and other related activities like selling the produces will become an alternate income generation for them. So, yeah.
Also, one more question I had one for the previous presenter also. The wetland, what actually is been shown here? It's a buffer of railway department?
Yeah. Hello. Yes. So at present, from the site that when we went to the site, we have seen that there was already a ditch there, and already there was the drain that was coming from the Kasturi Nagar neighborhood, was the entire grey water was directly going into this ditch, and we sort of thought of treating that by making constructed wetlands so that the grey water sort of gets filtered, and then working around its edge to make it a much more attractive sort of a wetland park.
Rajiv, I believe you had a question.
Yeah. I'm still a little confused about this whole wetland section, because my question was, one is, if you see the Rajkalwa extending and the canal extending to the other side and it is having a dead end. Firstly, my question was, is that something which is continuing underground, or is it actually a dead end, which means that there is stagnation of water creating other issues in terms of maintaining that? But the connected question to that was this wetland park, which you have shown. How do you envision to sort of manage that park in terms of its smell and management of the whole park, including the canal? Because I believe that whole thing is an interconnected system. That was one.
Yes.
And my second question was this high-tech recycling depot, which you have done. It also, to some extent, will encourage vehicular movement, like the trucks and smaller trucks coming and sort of parking there to get the waste out, right? In how have you considered that to not obstruct the current traffic movement, because the roads are right next to it, or it on either sides, just to figure out how you're going to manage that whole part, the traffic and the wetland, the ecological treatment part.
Yeah. So I'll start with the high-tech recycling depot question. So we have, if you look at the master plan, on the right side of the high-tech recycling depot, there's already a provision that we have kept for the trucks which will carry the garbages, and they will unload those garbages into the processing areas. So that is one way we thought of resolving this issue of so that it doesn't obstruct the thoroughfare and the through traffic of the service lanes of the highway. And the other part of the wetland park was yes, using indigenous species and also having a tree lining all over the edge was one of the strategies that we thought of, which would sort of tackle the odor problem. But other than the odor problem, the most important, most critical problem that we have found there was that people come there to dump animal corpses. Okay. And a lot of illegal things that happens. Now, to tackle that, we sort of thought of increasing the visibility. Now, increasing visibility will also help in, stopping these kind of activities to happen. And therefore, yeah, that was the basic, strategy.
Yes, Ankit, please go ahead.
What is high-tech recycling depot?
So high-tech recycling depot is where, so it will have, first of all, one area where the waste will be processed. So already there's a segregation that happens, first level of segregation that happens in the households, and then it comes there to the high-tech depot, and where another second level of segregation will happen. From one, where organic and inorganic waste or inert waste will be sort of segregated and further processed. And since we talked about zero waste shop and all, where these waste would be processed and then further sold there, or will be used to make public art or those kind of associated things. And other than that, the organic waste will be used for the organic compost farming. Yeah. So it will actually have all these functions together. So, yeah.
So one of the things that has been mentioned, I'm sure it came up in the discussion with the community as well, is that they did not actually want the dry waste center there at all, because it wasn't catering to that want.
Yeah.
So in a way, by us expanding that, you kind of have to justify that land that they actually want to be used for recreation and other things is actually going towards some other thing. And the way you're describing high-tech depot, it's sounding the same as dry waste collection center. I don't know what the difference is. The other point I also don't understand what farming under the flyover means, because it's not as if you get sunlight there most of the time. So for me, like, they're not making, there's dissonance happening right there. I also don't see the Raj Kalway extending itself from the park to the wetland in your drawings. So I see that missing. Fourthly, I think the imagination of the wetland park as you have it right now is probably, the way you've drawn it, is closer to a lake, which to me sends wrong signals to the person looking at the drawing if they don't know about what's happening here. Because it's actually, if you look at the site right now, the water from that wetland is actually draining into the Banaganahalli lake. It is draining. There is actually a hole where it goes through. but the level would be much lower. And it's not as if you'll actually see much water at all. So for me, the drawing is sending a false impression of the reality, even if we implement your design. So I kind of have 2-3 issues that are there, which one is this waste issue, second is farming, and the third is the, okay, and the wetland. Yeah, okay, I'll stop. Yeah.